I'm Brandon McLean, and I have a car buying addiction. In order to combat this, I opened a mechanic shop to make some money, to help restore my cars while helping the people I can. Problem is, I can't stop buying cars. I have a lot of cars to restore and little time to do it, and the more I talk about it, the less time I can be doing it. So welcome to Terminated Restorations. Well, after a decent little time away from the shop, it's time to finally come back and actually work on some cars again for the first time in a little while. Had to take a break, couldn't get to the shop type thing. And yeah, we didn't make nearly as much money as I hoped. We're still positive, but I've learned I need to actually sell some cars. So what better is to take this piece of junk right here in front of us, this Salim Flamo, and make it into a car that people will want to drive and buy. So we're gonna go ahead and repair this car to a good enough standard to sell, and that is my goal for this today, is to get this done. So we will go ahead, drain the oil from the motor, because I'm pretty sure we're gonna have to just pull all of this out. Oh well, maybe if the car started with oil. So yeah, there's a lot of things that are going to need to be pulled off of this car to get repaired, get replaced. So we'll see. We'll see how this year brings for us. Hopefully better than last. I've learned I have all these cars just sitting in the garage, parking garage. Have to pay for that. I have to sell the ones that and maybe even some of the ones that I don't want to sell, I'm going to have to sell. It's just, this is about making money. You might have to take on even more jobs from people bringing in vehicles to us, but hopefully we can actually work on all of these cars that I have laying around. I don't want to have to just leave them for everybody else. My kids, my grandkids, I don't want to have them have to put up with the rotting corpses of these old cars. So hopefully we can turn these around and get them out to some people that might actually want them. So a lot of these are in, if not great condition. I mean, none of them are junk cars by any means, but majority, if not all parts, need to be repaired and replaced. And you kind of just find out as you go what parts that is. Kind of like with all the customer cars that we were doing previously, is just all of these parts and things that can go wrong with a car, as it gets old. A lot of these have hundreds of thousands of miles or kilometers in them, and so they've had their fair share of abuse. So the main thing is just giving the car the love that it needs, and getting it hopefully back on the road for somebody. Now the Salim Flamo car, very much similar to the Ford Pinto, which hopefully these don't catch on fire when we're rented, because people might not want it then. I'm not going to do anything with the interior unless anything needs actually replaced, mainly because I don't want to have to spend the extra money on the interior parts. Because with the interior, that creates a large money sink area for a vehicle like this. Thankfully, old vehicle doesn't have front-wheel drive, has rear-wheel drive. So some of these more modern cars that have front-wheel drive, better for snow here in Iowa, but I don't know. Classic old rear-wheel drive is more of my style. Granted, I would never be caught dead probably driving one of these. I'd rather drive like that Mazda or that Jeep that's sitting back there. Eventually we will get to those at a later time. Probably not today. I probably won't even get to them tore apart today, so the main thing is just get what we can get done and see how this all gets broke down into episode-wise for the new season. There's been talks that we were going to extend this season longer than the previous season, but we'll see what happens there. Quite a few pieces that go into the front end of these cars. A lot of them look very rusty, so we're going to probably have to do a lot of replacing. Common things that always need replaced are tie rods and the bushings, just to give it a better, smoother ride. I think now it's time to start removing the subframe. But first I'll get rid of all these lower parts. We need to get that transmission off so we can pull the motor. I think I need to lower it back down again. So that way we can access the starter from the top of the motor. Remove that hood. Take the battery off. Take the radiator. And start pulling all these plastic bits out of here. We got to give ourselves as much room as possible to remove this motor. Not a lot of space in the front of these cars. At least it's not like a Volkswagen Beetle where it has majority of its engine in the rear. Alright, so now... Oh, gotta make sure I take out the thing that we came up here for, which is this starter. So now I should be able to go and remove the transmission, lower it back down, take out the motor. I think this interior looks like it's in fairly good condition. It looks like it might need a steering wheel up there. Okay, let's take out transmission, final piece of the exhaust, and the steering rack and sway bar. Lower it back down. Yeah, we need a steering wheel. I had this towed here. Let's go ahead and get that steering wheel installed first. We'll just go with like a standard steering wheel. We won't do anything too fancy of a steering wheel. Let's see. $150 of these, pretty cheap for a steering wheel. $100 steering wheel for this like padding steering wheel. Yeah, let's do that. Let's not do anything too fancy with this. Here we go. Regular old steering wheel. Alright. Let's go get our engine hoist so we can pull this motor and begin work on it. Alright. Take out the final bits and pieces of this car. The only things left are the seats and interior. So now we can actually start replacing parts and hopefully get this car out the door in the next few days. Hopefully not too long that we have to sit on it. Alright, add an engine, side 4 engine, and start ripping into it. We'll take off all of these pieces, try to repair what we can in-house, and then go get the other things that we need. Of course, inline 4 engine, pretty decent engine. I know the inline 6 of the newer Jeeps is very sought after. It's a very nice motor. These i4s, very fuel efficient, not very powerful. But if the time ever came, we could always pick one of these up and run some more powerful parts through it and see how much power we can get out of one of these motors. I think that'd be a fun experiment for a day when we have more money and can actually go out and do some of that kind of stuff. Alright, so let's remove this pressure plate. And flywheel. Right now we need to remove the camshaft and the spark plugs, which stick out the sides. Okay, now we can remove the top. Another thing with these inline engines like this, the Jeeps and these Ford motors, they're very simplistic design is what I really like about them. And with less cylinders, it makes for less work of removing parts. Unlike the 8 cylinders that we were doing and the 6 cylinders for like the Maserati from the season finale of last season. But most of the time with all of these old pistons and stuff, we're gonna have to just replace them, and we'll just go with the cheapest option we can. Crankshaft, and then finally our engine block. And then let's rotate this back. I'm going to reassemble some of the body panels onto this things that we don't need to replace can go right back on. Things that we do need to replace obviously will stay off. Let's go with the chrome bumper. Maybe match the colors, Brandon? That would be the smart thing, because we do have color matching doors. Alright, I don't believe any of this was worth saving. Yeah, there wasn't anything for this. So we need a pair of headlights, a pair of taillights. But that's no big deal. Do we have? Yep. New glass for most of this thing as well. And taillights. Don't need a new hood. We can actually just reinstall that now. Okay. Engine time. Start putting this bad boy back together. Thankfully, we have some like remanufactured parts, like the power steering, had an alternator lying around, stuff like that. From all these other builds, we have that kind of stuff. We do need a crankshaft. That is not good. Okay, crankshaft for an i4. i4. It was just a stock standard i4. And a fuel filter. I know this is going to need replaced as well. And along with an oil filter too, but... Alright. Yeah. Fuel filter up there. I think we were able to remanufacture every single one of the bearing caps, which is nice. And then I don't think we're going to have any of the pistons. So I think we're going to need pistons and rings. Yeah. So, piston. Let's get the 4 sets of rings and 4 sets of pistons. Okay. Piston and ring. Piston and ring. Piston and ring. And piston and ring. We do have a lot of rod caps just lying around from previous rebuilds. Those will probably come in handy on other project cars as well. And the oil pan. Add the oil filter to that list as well. Flywheel. And just rotate this back around. Okay. do have an engine head to use, which is good. Don't want to have to buy any of these bigger, expensive parts. Can we use the camshaft? We do need camshaft caps, which we need 5 of those. And we need a cam gear. Okay. So we need an oil filter for an I4, this ignition coil, cam gear, the camshaft cap, which we can find down here, maybe. Just a regular camshaft cap? Yep. We need 5 of these. We also need a flywheel. And I'm pretty sure we're going to need clutch parts, but I'm not 100% sure what all we'll need for them, so I'll just go ahead and do that. And then for not interior, we need to go to bodywork, flamo, headlight, taillight and taillight, front window, right door window, and I think that's it. Alright, that shopping list is clear. Alright, let's go ahead and continue with our reinstall of parts. The plate we have, it might be the pressure plate. Yep. Go ahead and grab that pressure plate while I'm thinking about it, and we can just finish that up. Alright. Pressure plate. And bearing. Ignition coil. And then our new camshaft caps. Gonna need spark plugs, that's another one. Do I have some just lying around out here? No, I do not. So spark plugs, that's another thing. And then our cam gear. Now we need a timing belt. And we didn't have an engine cover that came with this. And then we need 4 spark plugs as well. And I have the oil filter. Alright, let's go ahead and do that. So we need timing belt, if I can spell timing right. Timing belt for the I4. This one right here. Head cover. And then spark. We need 4 of these. Okay. We'll put the engine head cover on. And then we'll put the timing belt on. Get all of our spark plugs going. And probably need new ignition wires as well now that I think about it. Clear the list, get that going. Belt tensioner. Okay. Now that we got more things to get. Belt tensioner. And then ignition wires. Clear that list and let's get this going. Belt tensioner here. Timing cover. We need a crankshaft pulley. We'll probably need this idler roller as well, yeah. Anything kind of rubber needs to be replaced. We got intake manifolds. We don't need to order that. Idler. And then crank. Shaft pulley for the I4. Let's see, belt, serpentine belts. Gonna need that one, I'm pretty sure. I think there's a second one as well. B. Probably not the same one. So, alright. Go ahead and clear that list. Alright. You. And you. And then this is the serpentine belt. And then serpentine belt A is the other one we need. Which we can find right here. Put that on. And that should be everything that we can put on here. Alright. Engine back in. Go ahead and get things mounted back together. So we need a throttle. Air filter base. Need to go grab an air filter. There's the radiator. Go back, grab the battery off of the charger. That put in here. Need a new brake servo. Alright, next things are all underneath the car. Okay, so front suspension crossmember. Don't have any of these spare lying around, so we need to order some. Front sway bar, need that. And a steering rack. We're able to repair the transmission. And then also this front exhaust section, we need that. Okay. So let's get all of that going. Throttle for the i4. Standard air filter. Brake servo. Might as well get pads while I'm at it. Brake servo. And then rubber bushings. I'm just gonna go ahead and get a whole bunch of these to lie around. Probably need some of these. Front sway. Just regular front sway bar. And then front exhaust section for the i4 right there. Oops. Okay, let's go ahead and clear the list again and get back to reinstalling some parts. So we'll get this installed here. Get our rear axle reinstalled. Get our drive shaft reinstalled. For rear pieces, get our control arms on and remounted. Got plenty of these extra leaf spring stuff lying around from all the other stuff from last season. Lots of cars needed replaced parts there. Spring and spring cap, I'm pretty sure is gonna both need to be replaced here. But one way to check, we just put this on, go to mount the cap, and yes, we do need the cap as well. Okay, fuel tank. Let's get some new fuel tank for here. And then go across, we'll do this side, so that way all of this is attached somewhere. Knuckle housing on. A lot of the stuff was actually easily repairable. Thankfully, a lot of these cars did not sit for very long. I think the drum needs to be replaced on both sides, so yes, we will do that. Alright. We also need the rear half of this and the middle. Okay, come back up to the front again. Do that. We need tie rods. I knew that was going to happen, you know. And we probably will just finish up the engine side real quick. And lowering it down here. Okay. So air filter cover. Make sure you always include the clips on that. Doesn't want to have it come flying off. There we go. Exhaust manifold can be reattached to the exhaust system. And then the throttle can be reattached as well. We also have now the brake servo. And I think the only other thing is the starter. And while we have the engine open, we might as well fill it with oil while we are thinking about it. Okay. And so that is done. Also get headlights put in. Put in good headlights, right? Yeah. Got a new fancy window for here. And then also the tail lights. That is all of that done. Don't think it had... Yeah, well, it had license plates, so we'll put the old plates back on. And we'll raise it back up. And while that's doing that, let's grab our rear shock absorber Bs, 2 rear springs, 2 rear shock absorber caps, rear muffler for V8 overhead valve, which that's not correct. Middle muffler, fuel tank, and brake drums. Alright, that should be all of those pieces. Oh, tie rods, that's another one. Inner and outer tie rods are going to need to be replaced. And I'm actually going to think that the double wishbone is going to be replaced as well. So 2 of these, and then front springs, and then front shock absorber caps. And while that's being done, I will throw these onto here. Let's take a look at these old wheels for this. So they're retro rims with a standard 185 tire, 60 15-inch. Okay. So we will go ahead and also start ordering that stuff. So we'll go to tires. Nope. I'll go to tires first, not performance. Tires. Okay. So standard tires. We want 15-inch tire, 185, 60. And we need 4 of these. And then we'll go to rims. We are going with a retro So it's down here. Retro 10, and we need 15-inch. And we need 4 of them. Okay. So, oops. We will go ahead and get those going. Take you off of here. Go back to here again. We can now mount tie rod, steering knuckle, cover, front tie rod, front wheel hubs. Okay, then we'll go over to the other side. Do the same thing. Front steering knuckle, tie rod. Tie rod, cover, and the hub. Okay. Middle muffler, rear muffler. Come back here, get most of the rear stuff done. And then spring, and a shock absorber cap. Fuel tank, fuel pump, spring, and cap. Alright, all that is completed there. Grab more of the wheels here so we can get all of this reinstalled. I don't want that, I want this. And that. Okay. Now we'll go to this side, wheel hub, solid drive axle, and then drum cylinder, brake shoes, brake drum, and our wheel. Come back here. Pull off the next set of tires. And then we'll finish this other side. Brake drum and tires. So the rear should be basically done now. Okay, now we can move on to getting the front done. So let's see. We need bottom suspension arms. Do we need upper suspension arms? No. Have those. So over to the other side, get that to that point. Maybe we might need new brake disc as well, front brake disc. Yes, we do. So front brake disc. And then bearing. Okay, let's go ahead and get that stuff going. So here we need bottom suspension arm, 2 of them, and then brake disc, ventilated, hub, cap, and bearings. I'm pretty sure I'll have to replace both. Okay. Clear that out. Tire. Okay. Back to putting this together. Bottom suspension arm. There we go. And then we also need the double wishbone shock absorber. And sway bar front end link B's. There we go. Should complete the front end the front suspension for this vehicle. Ventilated brake disc, Already bought the brake pads. Are the calipers in good shape? Yep. And then we can finally finish this up. There we go. Front driver's side is done. Here's the last wheel. Go over here and get this side done. Starting with the lower suspension arm. Shock absorber. Front sway bar. And then our brake disc. Wheel hub. Hubcap. Brake pads. And our brake caliper. And then finally put it on, put the wheel on and put it on all four wheels. As we should be all completed here. This should be one complete car. It is. So let's see what somebody's willing to give me for it. Somebody is willing to give me $28,581 for this car. You know what? I think that is a good deal. So we made $21,000 off of that car. $21,000 more than what we were at the start of today. There wasn't a lot of work to have to put in for that, so I couldn't be any more happy with the results of that. And you know, now we get to move on to some more, maybe more fun projects. But today's kind of over, so we kind of should move on to the next day.
Shut up and sit down.